Hello and welcome to another episode of Cubs on Tap. I'm Joey Ricotta, joined by Rich Eberwine at Cubs on Tap. You can follow him at Rich_EBS. You can follow me at Joey Knows Nothing. You can follow the account at Cubbies on Tap, CUBBIES on Tap. Thank you, everyone that is going to join us here tonight. It was a fun one, absolutely incredible. We got some Cubs on Tap guys in attendance and on tap bets guy as well. So Tyler, as you know from the show and writing, he was in attendance, as was our friend Bobby as well, who does the show here and writes. And then B-Don and his brother were also in attendance in left field as well. So
jealous. I'm super jealous. This is a game that I'm sure was super fun to be at. Oh my gosh.
Dude, what a freaking game. The Cubs do it again. Rich, we're going to get into all of it, but first, man, how are you doing after that?
Who does this team think they are, man? The 2016 Cubs? I mean, what is going on? What made me feel really good is like when the Cubs went down by 3 runs in the late innings, I felt good about it. Like I was like, the team's not out. They're not out of this. This game is not over. And I was right. Like they just have so much grit and fight in them this year. It's amazing to watch. And to cap off a comeback against the Dodgers with a walk-off, man, that says a lot about this team, man. Against the defending World Series champions, they were able to tie the game in the 9th inning against arguably the best closer in baseball. A guy they almost signed to is just the narratives are everywhere. You know what I mean? And it feels amazing. You know, this team, it feels like they have that magic this year, and it's awesome.
It really does feel that way. This team's special. Like, I don't know what other way to put it. It does kind of give you those sort of vibes where, you know, a 2016 team, that team did, which is, and I feel like any team that makes a real run or a team that makes the postseason even has those sort of special wins. Like,
Yeah.
We've already seen a few of them this season, and we just came off of a crazy one on Friday against the Arizona Diamondbacks, which is, you know, was that the game of the season? Well, I don't know, because I feel like it probably was, just the magnitude of how they blew that lead and then came back and stormed back with their own huge inning. But this is another one of those games where, I'll be honest, Rich, like watching this, I didn't have the same sort of, and I should have, because of how they've proven to us, but I didn't have that same sort of vibe of like, oh, they're going to come back, because it's the Dodgers and because of their weapons in the bullpen and because of their strength offensively. Once they blew it and was down 10-7, I didn't have the same sort of, oh, they're going to come back and win this game. I was just like kind of praying that they would. But this team doesn't quit, man. Like, this is another contender here of like, I want to, and I'm gonna shout this to you now, and maybe hopefully we can get this in there. But you know how we have that spreadsheet where we kind of like coordinate everything for shows and stuff. I want to add to that, like, a separate column, special wins. Like,
That's good. I like that.
This, I think, along with the Friday one, and there's, you know, 1 or 2 other ones I think I can name or think of, maybe not name exactly which ones off the top of my head right now, but this is a special win. This was fun.
Yeah, I can name that list for you right now. The 16-0 victory against the Dodgers, another one against the Dodgers. That was pretty special. The one against the Athletics where they scored 18 runs when Carson Kelly hit for the cycle. There's a bunch of them already. And I don't know. I think this win felt better.
Oh, Rich, you there? I don't know if that's my end or your end. Might have lost Rich for a second there. But yeah, no, there's a few special wins there, as he was just naming those off. And it's cool to see that that's the case. with this team, because I do think that whenever you get those special wins, like it means that much more to the momentum of where the direction of where your club is headed throughout the season, because it really just builds momentum and confidence, and it just gives you that strength or that feeling like I could pull out any win. I can beat any team anytime. Doesn't matter if we get down, and that's kind of been the case. We'll hope for Rich to pop back in here, as he has some technical difficulties right now. But give me a second here. I'll try to adjust the box. I'm probably the slowest person when it comes to this, so bear with me here if you're joining. But oh, there he is. I think coming back in now. So, but yeah, man, I don't know. Sorry you got cut off there, Rich, for a second. But
My budget internet interrupted. My bad.
well, I think it's anyone who's on the show with me is the problem, because I it's like whatever my virus was that I gave to Tyler, I'm now just passing it to you. So I'm just
appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm doing my part here. My apologies. But yeah, we got some comments already in here with Hank, crazy game. He says, we all been saying for years, get a guy like Tucker in the line, it becomes real dangerous. Yeah, man. I mean, you're seeing it like late in games, the clutch moments, even early in games, to be able to put them on top earlier, to bring them within a couple runs or to tie the game early in certain games. Like Kyle Tucker is delivering. He is worth every single penny of whatever they're going to pay him. Like and the price is only going up by his performance, but Kyle Tucker, man, I guess we could start there. I don't really know where to start with this one, because we had Shota go out there, and I mean, if we're looking at the first inning, Shota goes out there and gives up 3 runs. I mean, Tommy Edman hits another home run against the Cubs, which is just Tommy Edman doing Tommy Edman things against the Cubs.
Yeah. Can't even blame Shota too much for that, though, because Gage Workman had an error in that first inning. So I think only one of those runs was an earned run on Shota from that home run. Gage Workman's a huge problem right now. We could start there.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to start on a negative note,
sorry.
No, that's fine though. Let's get into that, because I feel like everybody knows how the game ended. We're gonna get to it, but before the game got to where it got, Gage Workman gave the Dodgers life in the first inning, and gave them life there. I believe it was the 5th inning, or no, it was a little bit later than that actually, because it was 7-4 Cubs at the time, and then gave them life again on a play that should have been made, and he backhanded it. I don't even think he needed to backhand the play. He's not hitting, and what he's known for, especially at least as a prospect, his pedigree was this guy's a really good defender at third, or just a really good defender. And so far, he has not displayed any of that in his limited playing time. I'm sorry, but I don't know if you feel the same way. I'm assuming, I think you do based on our conversations, but he's got to go. Like, he's got to go. We can't afford it. He's got to go.
It's really hard to justify a roster spot for him right now, especially since they can't option him to the minor leagues. Like, if you're not doing the thing that's supposed to be your bread and butter, which is playing elite defense, he's not hitting. Clearly, it looks like he's just outgunned against major league hitting. It might be time to cut him loose and send him back to Detroit, because I don't know who the answer is to replace him from Iowa. Whether it's like Ben Cowles or somebody like that, Triantos, I don't know. Whoever it is can probably perform a little bit better than what Workman has given you. And, I drank the Kool-Aid on Gage Workman more than anybody this year with his crazy spring training, but it just goes to show you that spring training doesn't mean literally anything. Spring training stats, in most cases do not mean anything. And that's one of the reasons why it was so frustrating navigating Cubs Twitter when Kyle Tucker had like 2 hits in spring training or whatever.
Yeah.
Now look at what's happening with Kyle Tucker. I mean, he has like saved the Cubs offense. It feels like.
I mean, all the people that were freaking out about Cam Smith, which you still might. I'm not
Mhm.
saying that that's not a thing still that you have to ignore completely moving forward, but and he started out so slow after the hot spring, but he's starting to pick it up now too, which is good to see for him. I'm happy for him. I want to see him do well. I don't really care the trade itself to me. I'm not rooting against him just because Kyle Tucker was a part of that deal or he was a part of that Kyle Tucker deal, but
Yeah.
I want the extension just like everybody. But
Yep.
like you said, man, spring stats mean nothing. Gage Workman was one of the hottest. Him and Cam Smith actually had very similar stat lines
Mhm.
this spring. So like people were losing their mind over Gage Tater Workman, and it's been a disaster. So
Yeah.
actually was texting with Juice during the game. Fellow co-host here, buddy of mine, buddy of ours. About Gage Workman and just the Cubs in general. We're just talking the game, and I said, maybe Ben Cowles could be a person that you give a shot to, who's been pretty decent at AAA, and he's on the 40 man. Of course, everyone knows here at least that James Triantos is my boy, so I would love nothing more than for them to give him a shot. Is he quite hitting like he should be right now? Maybe not. Um, but
Can
I feel
Ben
like
Collis
any
play third base?
yeah, he's played a couple games over there this year.
Yeah. I feel like he'd be
Um,
more likely then just because he's on the 40 man and can play third. I don't think Triantos plays third, not on the
yeah,
40 man either. So, yeah. Collins, I think, would probably be the most logical choice and get him up, man. Like, clear that roster spot and next man up. Like, if that's kind of the vibe of this team, too, right now, I feel like with their roster decisions so far, specifically with like the bullpen and the pitching staff, is like, if you're not throwing strikes and you're not performing, then we're sending you right back down. Like they did that with Jordan Wicks, a former
mhm.
first round pick. They're like, you came in, you had two bad performances, and you're going back. Like we need guys to throw strikes right now, and it feels like a lot of this has to do with Craig Counsell. He's like, we're not screwing around this year. Like we're trying to win. Like we have Kyle Tucker right now. Like this is win now mode. It feels like, and it's resulting in wins, and I love it. I love the attitude of this team right now. It's like, yeah, get
Yeah,
if you're not performing, get out of here. You know?
that's it. That's exactly right. Like throw strikes or get out. Sorry. I felt throw strikes or get out, perform or get out, basically, is really
Yeah,
what it is. But um, I felt that way about Luke Little too. I
yeah,
mean, we were all so pumped and eager to get some fresh blood in there for the guys that were struggling, Eli Morgan and Nate Pearson, and then Luke Little, who a lot of guys thought was going to be on the opening day roster. And, I was one of the guys who, thought he really had a shot too. But I mean, he just walks. He had the issue last year too, walks too many guys. Like there's just no time for it anywhere in this on this roster to have a weakness at this point when everybody else is pretty much playing at a standout level. You need to match that. Like if the offense is this good, you can afford to have one weakness at a position too. And this kind of ties it back into Workman. You can afford to have a weakness at third base. It doesn't really matter where the weakness is, as long as you're crisp and doing functional baseball things. Like we can't have mistakes. If you're gonna strike out or not hit that much, but walk, kind of like what Matt Shaw was even doing. I mean, he wasn't hitting the ball hard at all. Clearly wasn't really ready to. It didn't seem like he was ready to hit. But he was walking. His at bats weren't terrible, and he played good defense. And like you kind of that's all you really need. Don't make the big mistakes with the rest of the thumpers. And I say thumpers, but we know there's one really key cog, and then a couple other guys who are overperforming at least what they're expected to do at this point. Um, that's all you really need. Like you just need to play solid, functional baseball, fundamental baseball, and I think this team is right there, man. They're right there, and they're pulling out some key wins. This is fun to watch.
yeah. Um, on that note, with like guys just throwing strikes and performing, Gavin Hollowell came up today and had an amazing first inning. He struck out 2 batters, including Shohei Ohtani. Set the Dodgers down 1-2-3. I think the third guy who's batting second today, Mookie. Um, I don't know. Got 2 scoreless innings. One deep fly ball that probably would have gone out if it was hit in like the 5th inning, but nonetheless got 2 scoreless innings against the Dodgers. That's a nice thing to hang your hat on for your first outing of 2025, right? And that's gonna buy him a little bit of time here, probably, because there's a big bullpen shuffle happening right now, and they're looking for a guy to just come in and throw strikes. And I like his stuff. I don't remember him last year that much. I guess he had like 1 or 2 outings last year at the MLB level. He's got like this crossfire, like Jake Arrieta kind of delivery,
Mm.
it's touching like 96 miles an hour on the fastball. I don't know. I like that. I like that coming out of the bullpen. It was pretty nice.
I'll be honest, dude. Yeah, he pitched a game last year, and I don't remember it.
Yeah, I literally can't recall him ever being with the major league team.
I when I looked him up, because I haven't really paid too much attention to him at AAA or anything. Like, didn't it was kind of and I know Tommy Birch. I think Ron even had mentioned that he was all over it as someone to watch for potentially getting called up, and Tommy Birch was all over it as he normally is. Um, the Des Moines reporter there, but I it wasn't someone who was like on my radar or somebody to watch. We're looking at like Jack Neely or some of these other bigger names that you think about. But I was pretty impressed with the way that he attacked the Dodgers hitters tonight. Like even some of the pitches that he got away with, like you said, maybe the Freddie Freeman one. There were a couple other ones where it looked like he kind of threw him down the middle, which you don't really want, but at least he's throwing strikes, and sometimes that's better than the alternative.
Didn't
Where,
walk anybody.
yeah, he was putting in there.
Bullpen walks have been a huge problem for the Cubs this year, and the only reliever who gave up walks today was Brad Keller, who just had a bad day for Brad Keller. But everybody else did their job. Hollowell, Ethan Roberts, Porter Hodge had a huge inning in the 10th. It was a good day for the bullpen, other than Brad Keller.
Yeah, and that's gonna happen. I still really like Brad Keller a lot, but like you said, man, bullpen was pretty lights out outside of that, and Keller didn't really get any favors, like we said with Gage Workman there. So very tough situation for him too to be in. But this is a good lineup. You're facing the Dodgers, so I think minimizing the damage is always the key there. But the fact that they were able to just tack on those extra runs even when they got in trouble, that's what makes this team so special, man. And I want to talk to you before we get to the whole, the walk-off and the game tying homer in the bottom of the 9th. I want to bring up somebody. The guy, dude, he is electric, man, and he's so fun to watch. And like, I know he's not a star yet, but like, if we're talking just WAR and also he's putting it together with the bat now, he crushed that ball to make it a 7-4 game. He crushed that ball, and the speed, the defense, he's got everything. He's got the flair. I'm going to say it now, man. And maybe it's more of a question, but is he a star? Because he gives those vibes. He gives like star vibes. Everything.
I think by the end of this year, I'll be ready to call him a star, because he's tapping into that like second half offensive performance that he had from last year, right? He already has 7 multi-hit games this year, 11 extra base hits in his last 9 games, I think it is. He is on a heater right now, and good for him, because he just bet on himself a couple weeks ago when he turned down a contract extension, reportedly a $75 million contract extension, which was a little light at the time, if you asked me. Christian Campbell's was even more than that, and he had like 2 MLB games under his belt when the Red Sox extended him. But anyway, yeah, PCA bet on himself, and so far it's paying off because, and this is what we were talking about earlier, like even if he's not hitting, his speed and defense are justifiable enough to put him in the lineup every day. And when he's hitting moonshots like that, collecting extra base hits and multi-hit games, I mean, he's already top 15 in WAR or whatever, I think I saw
Mm-hmm.
on Twitter. I mean, he's gonna be up there in WAR by the end of the season if he keeps this up. So yeah, I think he's well on his way to being a star and a key component of this Cubs lineup. I'm just waiting for the first time Craig Counsell pencils him in at the top of the lineup. It's not like you have to right now because Ian Happ is doing well. He had 4 hits tonight, but that speed at the top of the lineup would also be pretty electric.
You know what, though? I was thinking about this, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. The speed at the top would be incredible, especially if he's getting on base like he is now. But I kind of like where he's coming up in the order when it seems to roll around to him. Like there's guys in position, and he's kind of making some noise that way too. So I don't know, man. I don't know if the Cubs can even go wrong right now with their lineup construction. It's almost like it comes up in that perfect spot of like, all right, there's kind of a pocket where there's a little mini weakness, sort of, and he can be that clutch guy at that opportune time. So I kind of like that too. But who's to say that if you put him at the top, then now that his position becomes somebody else who can also do that? Like,
Yeah.
So I do think that that's a possibility too. I
It's a
don't
good
know.
point. And it could also screw him up too, putting him back, like putting him somewhere else in the lineup, right? Like, so maybe we shouldn't mess with a good thing and just leave him where he is because he's doing very well and we like it. We love deep home runs. The wind was blowing out today, but that was not a cheap home run that he hit tonight.
Yeah, no, that was going on almost any night.
Yeah, he poked that one. It was great.
A freaking moonshot. Yeah. I was gonna say too, you brought up WAR. The Cubs are the only team in the majors with 3 guys in the top 15 with WAR. Top 15 of WAR. 3 guys. They've got Kyle Tucker. This is not going off of the qualified. I I shrunk the plate appearances to a minimum of 40 because WAR, it doesn't really make sense to use the qualified because you build WAR. It does, like, if you build that high of a WAR in a short period of time, I feel like it's just as valuable as, like, it's not really one of those stats where I don't know. That's how I look at WAR, and people could tell me I'm wrong about that. But Kyle Tucker, he's 9th. Carson Kelly 10th, and PCA is 13th with a minimum of 40 plate appearances in WAR. That's in the majors. So a lot of those guys are in the NL, I believe, too, overall. But yeah, man, it's really fun to watch. Obviously, when you get Kyle Tucker too, who can just snap you back to life at any moment and make it a 1-run game.
God,
it's
incredible. Like he's the most clutch hitter the Cubs have had in a long time. It's unreal. I don't even remember, like, I don't know, Bryant Rizzo, maybe, I guess. Like, I just remember Pat Hughes always saying, like, man, when Bryant and Rizzo are hitting well, the Cubs are winning ball games. When Kyle Tucker is hitting moonshots into right field, the Cubs are winning ball games too. I mean, it feels like that. Oh, man, I will buy 2 Kyle Tucker jerseys.
I think we might have lost Rich there for a second, but I totally agree.
Am I
Yeah,
back?
you're back now. You're back.
Oh my God, bear with me, everybody. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna get the jerseys for you.
I won't be able to order them. My internet won't let me.
The Fanatics or the MLB shop won't work.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, no, Kyle Tucker's been unreal, and the Cubs offense goes as he goes, but also, like, it wouldn't be this high scoring without the rest of the game contributing too. And that kind of leads me into, you got 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning, and we might have lost Rich again. Oh, you're there. Okay. 2 outs, bottom of the 9th inning. Former Cub, which we all love and know, Miguel Montero used to say, "We are good." So I put here, I mean, this is kind of like what I've been rolling with. Hashtag Cubs catchers are good, because it's not just Miguel Amaya. Carson Kelly has been on fire, like we said, with the WAR, but Miguel Amaya has been really good too. Like I'd love to look up the actual research on this, or do the research on this, but I would beg to, like, I feel like there's a really good chance that the Cubs catching tandem as a whole is, if not the best in baseball, it's like top 3 in baseball. And there's probably not even much of a question about it, at least from a performance standpoint. This guy, what an absolutely clutch moment from him off of Tanner Scott to hit that bomb. Like, and nobody is happier than me, man, for being Miguel Amaya is my boy. That is my boy. I'm so freaking pumped, man, to see that. Like, what a moment. And we might have lost Rich again. The internet is just in not loving Rich tonight. But no, I could keep going about Miggy. I really love his at bats for the most part, and he had that little blooper that kind of snuck in there earlier too, which was a big hit. Came up for RBI. So, but that, just to bring them back to life, that 1-run game, Tanner Scott, a guy the Cubs could have had, like we mentioned earlier in the show. Ended up not getting him, of course, or not wanting to shell out the extra money to get him. But all right, so while Rich is gone, we will try to shrink the box. I don't know if I can even. I'm terrible at this, like I said. But yeah, we'll try to figure this thing out here in a second. But yeah, no, it's always good to see when you get those clutch performances, especially from the catching position, which the Cubs have not had for a while here. And they've definitely, like, they've done a complete flip from last year, where the catching position was a clear weakness, and all of a sudden this year they're getting some clear-cut awesome production out of that position, no matter who is in the lineup, it feels like. The bullpen, I really need. I know the bullpen was pretty good for the most part tonight, outside of Brad Keller, but I think you have to do something there. Still, they need pitching on both sides. You need a starter, and you need 1 or 2 more guys in the bullpen. I don't think an addition like a Drew Pomeranz, that's just my opinion at this point. I don't think a Drew Pomeranz is going to make that huge of a difference, because he wasn't even pitching that well in the minors. He's old. He hasn't even pitched in the majors for a while. Like, the last time we saw him be good at the MLB level, I could not even tell you when. And I know they brought that up on the broadcast tonight, which, by the way, bone to pick with Marquis. Do not share any tweets from Dan Clark. The guy is there we go. We'll just use my background for now. The guy is an absolute, like, he's a PCA hater. I'm going to call it that. He's a PCA hater because he said that he can't hit. Like, a lot of these guys that were down on him, the fantasy baseball community, half of the fantasy baseball community said that PCA was, they weren't high on him, even though he can get stolen bases. That is blowing up in everybody's face right now as he takes off. PCA, Pete Crow Airlines, seems to be taking off for flight. So love to see it. I kind of just get a kick out of people that think they know everything, and then all of a sudden, especially about players. And I like to think I know a lot about players. I've said in the past too some terrible takes about, I think this player is going to be good, this player is going to be bad, yada yada yada. But never really know what's going to happen, I think, truthfully. And so it's just fun to see when it's the opposite, even if I'm wrong. Like, that happens multiple times a year. So, but anyways, maybe they're not PCA haters, but the fact that they just kept talking about him so much kind of irritated me. So yeah, take that, shove it up your ass. Anyways, Cubs, absolutely incredible win tonight. Not sure if Rich is going to be coming back on. A whole lot of PCA haters eating crow. Hank Rodriguez says here in the comments. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too. I think the more he keeps doing this, the more crow they're going to be eating. Looks like we might have Rich back. There we go. What up, Rich? Internet.
My internet needs to relax immediately.
All good. It's all good. I was just talking about Miguel Amaya and started talking about the PCA haters out there. I basically said I have a bone to pick against Marquis for showing a tweet that Dan Clark had tonight, because I feel like you can't show Dan Clark tweets because he is basically a PCA hater. Was talking bad about his hitting before he started to take off, but maybe that was the fire that lit up PCA, the stretch that he's on now. So actually, I shouldn't even be mad at all. I'm not mad.
Maybe PCA saw the tweets and just locked in.
That's a good theory anyways. That's what we're going to go with. But man, what a freaking game to be at. I'm so jealous of Beadon and Tyler and Bobby getting a chance to go to this game. Random Tuesday night against the Dodgers, and Dodgers fans definitely traveled there. Like, did you see the video of all the Dodgers fans like storming the street?
Yeah, marching down Wrigley Field like it was or marching down Clark Street like it was a parade. Little much, Dodgers fans, a little much, but it's nice that they were walked off tonight and got, I would just love to see the looks on all the Dodgers fans' faces at Wrigley Field tonight. I'm sure there's so many people talking smack about how they just won the World Series and how much better they are than the Cubs, and they got a nice walk-off tonight. I think another thing that came to my mind about this game is if the Cubs win tomorrow, they will have the series victory over the Dodgers this year, which could come into play down the road. Hey, Darren, thanks for welcoming me back. No, but yeah, in the odd chance that the Cubs and the Dodgers are wild card teams, it could come into play. Which is possible. Who knows? Maybe the Padres just stay on this heater, and maybe the Cubs. I don't know. I feel like if the Cubs don't win the division, they're probably not making the playoffs. But I don't know. Could come into play. It's always just a good thing to have in your back pocket, right? They did the same thing against the Diamondbacks, which is probably more likely a scenario because there's no way the Diamondbacks are winning that division, right? But that's what you want to do, right? You want to stack up as many series victories as you can against as many opponents as possible. So the Cubs have been doing that, right? Even if they split this a 2-game stretch against the Dodgers, that's a victory in my opinion.
Yeah, there's no. I think this whole schedule in April, like if they would have came out 500 in April,
would have been happy.
I would have been happy with that. And right now, sitting 15-10.
It's unreal. Like they're the best offense in baseball and scoring runs against the best teams in baseball. I think the only team that they've faced so far that has a record below 500 is the A's. And they probably would be at or above 500 if the Cubs didn't sweep them.
So, yeah, and they lead the majors in runs, by a lot.
Literally the best offense in baseball. They probably the last time I looked a couple days ago, they were leading in run differential as well. They probably still are.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Plus 42. The Mets are plus 35. San Diego plus 35. Plus 33. The Giants. There's nobody else really close to those. So yeah, the Cubs are still, even with a 1-run win, it's a win, so it goes up 1.
Yeah, pumping those numbers, baby.
Yeah, I mean they are. Some of those are inflated, obviously, and that's the thing about run differential that I think can get a little bit lost when we talk about. You still want the offense to be putting up big numbers, but some of those huge games, like the ones that you mentioned, the special wins, some of those special wins
definitely skews it.
they skewed it a little bit, but this team consistently 6-7 runs. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a consistency too behind it that's making it so special, I think, too. But yeah, man, I'm with you. If they can split this, and they already split this series, so one more with the Dodgers tomorrow, and then on tap after that, you've got the Philadelphia Phillies coming to town for a pretty big series. And good to see a familiar face or two back in that series. So Schwarber and the Phillies are a really good team, obviously, as well. They've started out the season 13-11. I mean, they're already 4 games back in their division just because of how well the Mets have been playing. But definitely a tough team to welcome into your home field. So Cubs are going to have to come with it for that series too. I definitely do think, though, pitching, we need to find some sort of answers. One probably in the rotation and a couple in the bullpen to really feel good about this team, at least in their chances. Because I was saying, talking with, like I said, texting with Juice, I feel like this team there we go, Rich. I feel like this team, as I was telling
Be
Juice,
fast.
yeah, before you cut out here, can beat the Dodgers, even though I don't think this is an overreaction just because it's April. I feel like if they add to the weaknesses, they address the weaknesses that they have. And by weaknesses, I feel like the main weaknesses being defense at third, kind of, but one starter pitcher, like a big starting pitcher at least, and 1 or 2 bullpen pieces, that this team could probably beat the Dodgers in a series in the playoffs, because the playoffs are so random as it is. Like, I don't think I'm being extreme by I'm not taking it just from this game alone. Like, the Dodgers are a super team, but anything can happen in the playoffs, and the Dodgers, they leave a lot to be desired in certain areas. Like, their defense is questionable.
Yeah, that was something that I think they were bringing up on the radio broadcast the last time the Cubs played them. Like, that's an area the Cubs are just hands down way better than the Dodgers at, is defense. There's Gold Glove defenders pretty much at every position except for catcher and third base in the Cubs, lineup. So yeah, I agree with that. Definitely need to pursue another workhorse starting pitcher. Sandy Alcantara, Pablo Lopez, Luis Castillo are 3 guys that are on my wish list. One of those 3 guys, adding them to this roster and just getting that type of inning eating potential would be huge. It would take so much off of your bullpen too. Knowing that you have another like 1 or 2 starting pitcher. And if you can get a guy with like postseason experience like Luis Castillo too, that'd be nice. But even if it's a rental like Dylan Cease or somebody like that, which Padres probably aren't trading Dylan Cease or Michael King this year, but there's other examples of rentals. Like if the Blue Jays end up being bad and end up selling, there's a couple guys over there like Chris Bassett or even Max Scherzer if he comes back. And can you imagine Max Scherzer in a playoff rotation for the Chicago Cubs in
Oh, man.
2025? That would be honestly pretty badass.
And just his personality too, like being just a complete whack job in the playoffs.
That would be an awesome X factor to have, honestly. Just
God.
one more. He's got one more in him, one more playoff run in him.
Love
At
it.
40 years old. Come on. That's the stories write themselves about that.
Did you see Verlander cranking it up the last time he was out?
Was he? Is he? Where's Verlander? Is he with the Giants?
He's with the Giants, and the Giants are still, they're contending right now. So they're not going to move anybody at this point. But I mean, if there's a team in the West that I could see out of those 4 outside of the Rockies falling out of it, the Giants would be my bet to fall out of the race at some point. And if that's the case and Verlander's dealing, I would take Verlander too.
Yeah.
So
why not? I mean, you need somebody, right? If you're in it, if you're still in it and like at the top of the NL Central, yeah,
it's pretty much anybody that that can offer you some value. As Rich's internet once again with the attack, the aliens are trying to abduct him over there. But yeah, there was another guy. I don't know if we brought him up on the show, but me and Rich were talking before hopping on here, and Tristan McKenzie getting DFA'd could be a possibility as far as somebody that the Cubs look at. I don't know who. I don't know. I think that's a tough, like, since the injuries and stuff. He had that one really good year in 2022, and he showed electric stuff. His velo's actually been up this year compared to years past, but he's still getting lit up. He walks too many guys. He's not really striking anybody out at this point. So I don't really know how willing the Cubs would be to explore that, but it's something that wouldn't cost the Cubs much, or really anything, to take a flyer on him. So that could be somewhere where they try to get a little bit better on the margins anyways, or take a flyer on someone like that. That's a possibility. I think Javier Assad just exited a start where he was pitching, I believe it was like the 5th inning or something, and had to leave the start early. So that's kind of alarming, not good to hear from someone who's trying to work his way back. And Assad has been really great when whatever role he's been in with the Cubs, and overdoing his expectations at multiple levels, like whether it be in the rotation or in the bullpen. He's done his job really, and someone who's not as expected to do well. So Assad could have been a difference maker. I hope that he still is a difference maker at some point, Javier Assad, but was kind of crappy to hear that
All right.
he exited the start.
You got 3 minutes. Go, Joey.
All right, 3 minutes. We're done with that. I was just talking about flyers potentially. I think Joe Ryan, if the Twins are really selling, I would love a guy like Joe Ryan. I doubt that's a guy they're going to deal. But that's another one possibly. I just want to shout out some of the comments here, and then Rich, I'll let you kind of, say kind of your final thoughts here about the game and stuff. We got a good comment here, Amphirius. We have, I personally like having a contact bat like Nico in between two batters with higher swing and miss like Swanson and PCA. However, I can understand why they would with PCA heating up. So yeah, I mean, that kind of goes back to our conversation about the lineup construction. Really could look at it a number of different ways, and maybe really the answer, at least at this point, is don't fix what's not broken. But a guy like that is swinging it well, you always try to get them as many at bats as you can too. So eventually, maybe he does make his way up the order. Darren says Birdie at third for a while till something else figured out. Could see that. I could definitely see that.
It's probably the best choice, right?
I mean, he's definitely a speed guy, and he's not. Yeah, I think it's the best choice they have right now. Darren also said, "I hope Hollowell is a keeper." I do too. I mean,
we need more keepers in the bullpen, that's for sure.
Anywhere you can find them. Also says starting third base with a bat, another quality starter, 2 bullpen arms, one a closer quality. Been my preseason wish list for the last 3 seasons. Yeah, I mean, that's the needs are pretty clear, I think, with the Cubs, and that makes it kind of nice in a way, where exactly what you have to get at the deadline. You're not like the hard part is knowing you have this many weaknesses. Somebody's, knock on wood, we see it every year, another weakness will pop up at some point, and so
it's the nature of the game.
Yeah, I'm knocking on wood that's not the case, but and hopefully they can figure, some guys fall into place where you weren't expecting, where maybe you fill one of those weaknesses. Another good comment here. Love the Cubs, but definitely frustrating. They still don't have the third base figured out. Understood completely there. Darren says, someone said Assad left the game holding his side. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about there a second ago. I don't know. Hopefully he's okay. That's never a good thing when you're rehabbing and you're getting close to a return, and then you leave a game with a side injury or whatever's the case going on with Assad.
Yeah, the good thing there is they have other guys to lean on. I think Chris Flexen is probably the next guy up, right? Who they may call up soon, since there is no long reliever in the bullpen currently after they sent Jordan Wicks back down. So they could look to lean on him because Colin Ray is seemingly stepping back into the starting rotation, and they're trying to get him stretched out. And he's honestly looked pretty amazing this year. He's got like career, maybe not career high, but highest velocity in the past couple years. He's like touching 96 with his fastball. So yeah, Chris Flexen, Connor Nolan is another guy who's having a decent start to the year down in AAA as a starter. And then, maybe at some point this year, Cade Horton could come up and be a long reliever out of the bullpen, I think is probably most likely. I don't think they'll use him as a starter in MLB this year, but he'd be a hell of a bullpen weapon and potentially a huge X factor down the stretch. I think he gets called up at some point this year.
Yeah, I do too. I wouldn't put it past him being in the rotation like come June or something or July. Maybe a little bit too close to the deadline. But maybe they want to see before the deadline, hey, can he be someone that's in the rotation on, maybe we limit his pitch count a little bit, but we get him going enough to where he can be a real factor come September,
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. I just like him staying healthy and getting big league experience this year are the goals for him, right? Because then you're looking at him being like a legitimate rotation piece next year and beyond, which would be fantastic because then you have two basically homegrown guys in Ben Brown and Cade Horton stepping into your rotation, which you desperately need some starting pitching help right now, right? And good starting pitching. Like Cade Horton has electric stuff. So yeah, we love that. We want to see that.
I hope he turns into the pitching prospect that so many thought that he will become, and I'm one of them. I really think that he's of that echelon. Like Ben Brown's really good. Was a really good pitching prospect, but Horton was that other tier of like straight from being drafted. This guy is supposed to be special.
Yeah, I was looking at like before the season started, I was writing something up. I forgot what it was, but I went back and compared how many innings pitched he has to how many Dylan Cease had when the Cubs traded him, and it was like very similar. It was like the same amount of innings pitched, and I was like, I don't want them to trade Cade Horton, man. I can't take another losing out on another elite starting pitcher like that. They need to keep him. I think
that would be terrible.
Yeah. I think him and Owen Casey are on my keep list in the prospects, in the top 30 prospects.
Yeah, he homered today too, Casey. I think
Casey, I saw Casey the Crusher.
Casey the Crusher. I think Alcantara did too. Kevin Alcantara, another top prospect. By the way, too, you were talking about Chris Flexen. In 22 and a third innings pitched this year, he has a 0.40 ERA with AAA. That's pretty damn good. Like Chris Flexen is someone with, obviously major league experience, pitched with the Mariners. He's got the experience, so that I could really see that being a potential option for long relief, or or if you move somebody back to the long relief like a Colin Ray, who's, like you said, he's done really well so far in the rotation. So getting him stretched out, I think, is the only main thing for him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Excellent start to the year for Chris Flexen. I think he's probably the next guy up because Jordan Wicks didn't work out. And I'm just imagining like Craig Counsell just getting angry, which I don't know if it's possible for him to get angry, but I'm just imagining him in like his office, like, just give me the next guy, like throwing stuff, like get Wicks out of here.
It's a rotating wheel. All right.
Yeah. Who's next?
Spin the dial here. Which one's it gonna land on? Which one's the peg gonna fall on? Yeah, man. I think that's how it needs to be, though. It goes back to the we're in win now mode. Like this season.
I like being in that mode too. Like
I love it.
I love it.
Everything feels different watching the game too. It's not like, oh, we're trying to see who can stick around long term. Is this a piece? Is this a holder? Is this no? He's not getting it done. Get out. Like so often I think we were falling a lot of people will fall victim to the mindset, or not victim to the mindset, but like have this mindset of like, oh, he sucks, get rid of him, like when the team is struggling or kind of like not ready to win. And I'm like, no, he could be really good. Like you need to have patience. This is the time where unless they're like a core, like they have the track record of doing it, you can't have any patience at all. You
Yeah.
just can't. So, but anyways, we got really long term here with the talks tonight, which I wasn't really expecting because that was a hell of a game. Like, what an absolute signature win from the Chicago Cubs tonight at Wrigley. Another comment here. I wonder if the Cubs would be willing to go over the luxury tax to get a third baseman. Well, I don't know. I have no idea if that's something that would be considered or not. I know it would be a difference making type of move, but I kind of feel like if they're going to add at third base at all, and this is just my opinion, but they're probably still going to be looking at pitching help for sure at the deadline or sooner. But if they're going to add at third base, it might be around the margins. I don't know if they're going to make a real like splash at third base, whether that's luxury tax reasons or not. I could just see them maybe not wanting to give up too much prospect capital if you have to already make 2 to 3 trades, then maybe third base is not as important. What are your thoughts there, Rich?
I tend to agree with that, and I also don't know who's going to be available. Like other than like Nolan Arenado, who's going to be on the third base trade market? Like that would be a difference making bat, right? Like, and I I don't see a scenario where Nolan Arenado comes to the Cubs, nor do I want there to be, because that means you're sending prospects like Kevin Alcantara or James Triantos to the Cardinals, which you don't want to do. Uh, yeah, I definitely need to go and look at every team and be like, could they be out of contention, and then like would be willing to trade a third baseman to the Cubs? Like, I just don't know how many of those guys would be available. You know what I mean? Um, which stinks too, because the next free agent class of third baseman is really bad as well. Like, if Alex Bregman opts out of his contract with the Red Sox, he would be the best third baseman in that class by far,
Ugh.
which is unfortunate because that is obviously the biggest need for the Cubs right now.
I'm gonna be honest though, I didn't even really look at Bregman as like a huge. He would have been a great ad.
I mean, imagine him in this offense right now, though,
Yeah,
with
I
like batting in front of or right behind Kyle Tucker.
I get it. It would be pretty sick, but it's basically kind of like what you said though. He's the biggest ad in free agency for third base because there's not really that many good options. Like,
Yeah,
so I don't know. Like I kind of still think, and that's where the Cam Smith talk might come into play, where if Matt Shaw doesn't pan out, which is way too early to say still, if that's the case, but if they don't get it internally, that could just wind up being kind of a weakness or just an average position for the Cubs moving forward, which is fine if you have the outfielders and the rest of the team doing
yeah.
what they're supposed to, which is what's happening right now.
I mean, like you said, it's way too early to give up on Matt Shaw. I mean, uh, at worst, he's like average defender at third base. He's got great speed, and you know, I think by all accounts, he's going down to AAA, and they're gonna try to tweak his swing with that massive leg kick. And he's a guy who always has seemed receptive to that kind of stuff, to tweaking his game and to just getting to the point where he is able to help his club win ball games. Like, I feel like he has that mentality where he will do whatever he can to do that, even if that means getting rid of this like big sweeping leg kick that apparently relied on, which is unbelievable. Like, I didn't know about this until I like saw him play games this year, and it's kind of dramatic how
It's big.
it's crazy. And I was listening to Ron Coomer talk about it on The Score like a week ago. I'm about to cut out again, aren't I?
Well, I don't know. You got a
Oh,
goofy face
wait,
right now.
maybe
Yeah,
maybe I'm here. Am I here?
saved.
Oh my
Saved.
god.
Not by Gage Workman, but
Not by Gage Workman. He's been running my internet the last hour. He's got so many errors. Um, but yeah, no, the leg kick definitely needs to get worked on with Matt Shaw. And yeah, I think he will do it, and you'll have at least an average third baseman.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so. That'd be interesting though if he makes a similar adjustment like Miguel Amaya did, because that's what Miguel Amaya did his whole playing career before making the adjustment was that leg kick. So that
worked wonders for him.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's all it takes. Whether it's true to Matt Shaw, I don't know, but he does have a very dramatic leg kick, so I could see that being beneficial to him. So yeah, we'll just have to see if he can make the adjustments or not, and just hard contact. That's what I'd be looking for from him right now. Like, great at bats are great. Like I appreciate the walks, I really do, but he was making like zero hard contact, and that was kind of alarming to me.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it earlier though. He's got a good eye. He has good plate discipline. He was taking his walks. It's just about getting to the point where he can make solid contact and do it consistently, right? Like he doesn't even need to hit for power in this lineup.
Mm-hmm.
There's enough power hitters where you can get away with him just being another contact hitter, right? If the power does show up, fantastic, because he does have it, right? But just making solid contact consistently should be his goal right now.
Yeah, I mean, he could even take baby steps and just be kind of like a, Nico Horner light at this point. Like, just try to shoot for that. Just be a line drive guy for right now. And then, maybe next year or this offseason, you work on some things and you try to build up more of the power game aspect, build off of that and get some more launch to it. But yeah, man, I'm totally with you there. Rich, any more thoughts about tonight's game? Future outlook on the Cubs, near future outlook on the Cubs, anything at all, man?
I like where everything is right now, pretty much. I like the fact that it literally did not feel like the Cubs were out of this game ever, to me at least. Maybe that was just me tricking myself because last Friday I got really angry at the Cubs when in that 10 run inning. At the end of that game, I didn't even feel that good. Everybody was like, "Oh my god, this is the craziest win of the year." I was like, I feel like I just went through hell. Like that was awful. But I was glad they won. But
It was a roller coaster for sure.
Oh my god, I was like, it went from like the greatest day ever when Hap hit the grand slam to Ricketts needs to sell the team. This bullpen is awful. Like I was just having crazy thoughts. But yeah, no, today was definitely better. Felt better. It was everybody kind of did their job except for Brad Keller and Gage Workman, and they just got a solid win against literally the best team in baseball. It was a fun win. I wish I was at Wrigley Field, but I'll be at 2 of those games this weekend against the Phillies, and hopefully we get to see some of that magic that they've been tapping into. Hopefully, a Kyle Tucker home run would be nice, but yeah, man, the schedule is going to get easier in May, so hopefully they can make some hay here in the first couple months and get out to a nice lead in the NL Central. That's what I want to see.
All right, you're gonna hate me for this, but I just got like Adam Sandler, like Happy Gilmore vibes when you were talking there. They can make some hay. They just may. Lay by the
say?
Eat some hay. Yeah, no, I think it's awesome, man. Anything you can cake on at this point. And maybe I was gonna go to that Saturday Phillies game, but we got some other plans for Saturday, so I will not be going to one of those Phillies games. But you should have a great time this weekend. Hopefully, they're able to pull out some wins. Very happy for our friends that were there tonight to the fact that they were able to enjoy such an awesome game. All Cubs fans are basically our friends, but the people that we actually know before we go to the ballpark and then just become friends with, or the ones that join us here in the comments or interact with us, which we always appreciate and love as well. And we've gotten to know so many of you guys. But Rich, awesome show tonight. Awesome game. Ian Happ with the walk-off, 11-10 Cubs win in 10 innings after tying the game late. Well, coming back, so real quick summary. 3-0, they're down in the first inning. They come back. They're leading the game 5-3. They put up those 5 runs, right? 5 runs in the first inning. Then they're up 5-4, basically sticks to that point until the 6th or 5th inning. They score 2, the PCA 2-run shot in the bottom of the 5th, which makes it 7-4. Then Dodgers get 1 in the 6th before Shota exits. Then and Brad Keller in the 7th inning basically happened, and Gage Workman happened, and it's 10-7 Dodgers after 7 innings. And then 2 in the bottom of the 8th, thanks to Kyle Tucker's 2-run bomb.
The freaking king.
King taught 10-9. And then 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. Miguel Amaya ties it up with a solo shot off of Tanner Scott in a save situation. And then we go to the 10th. Porter Hodge, the huge outing there, slamming the door. Nothing. That runner on second does not score.
Redeemed himself from his blow up outing last Friday.
Absolutely awesome, man. And he, definitely did redeem himself here tonight. And then Ian Happ, Vidal Brujan scores the run from second. Ian Happ, clutch knock, and Happ went 4 for 5 with 2 runs and a ribby tonight. He had a monster game himself, and we didn't really talk about him too much tonight, but Ian Happ just being Ian Happ and really getting hot now. It seems like he's starting to get into his zone here in the season. So good to see. As we know, the weather warms up, Ian Happ usually starts to get going a little bit. 11-10 final in 10 innings over the Dodgers, over the marching fans down Clark Street. Suck on that. We are Cubbies. We are Cubs on Tap. You can follow us on X, on Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at Cubbies on Tap. Rich is at Rich_EBS. I am at Joey Knows Nothing. We appreciate you guys. We love you. As always, Rich, what do you say we get on out of here? The only way we know how to do here at Cubs on Tap.
Fuck the Cardinals and fuck my internet.
And fuck Gage Workman. Just kidding. Sorry. Just kidding. Well, not really. All right. Go Cubs. That was me flying the dubs. I hit end.